In many areas of the country, it's getting time to plant winter wheat, but one of the big questions we get is, should I use a seed treatment, and if so, what should I be using?
When you're getting ready to treat your wheat, there's several different things you may want to put on the wheat seed. You may want to put on a fungicide, and I think that's very important, especially if you can do two different modes of action. I also think an insecticide is absolutely critical, and higher rates are needed as we're getting a lot of wireworm pressure in many of the wheat growing areas in our country. Then you have to look at some of the other things like biological products, and there are a few that are proven out there that have been working well, and there are a lot of new ones that are coming along too.
Well, let's start there, because as soon as we say the word biological product, number one, it might be scary. Number two, you say, oh, that stuff just snake oil. Well, look, I realize there are a lot of biological products out there that may not have been the best, but we have found some that have been very effective. One we've been using on wheat on our own farm is Quick Roots, and that's beneficial bacteria and fungi. So whether you try that or you try something else, if you've never used one of these things before, we really strongly encourage you to try them, because all the big companies are investing literally billions of dollars in this segment of the market. They wouldn't do things like that if they hadn't found some proven technology out there and some things that can help you and give you a decent return on investment. You just have to try some of these things and find the one that works for you on your farm.
Well, okay, let's just take real quick Quick Roots, for example. What is it? It's a beneficial bacteria and a beneficial fungi, and what we've seen on our own farm and farms across the country is we do get more root mass. There's more fine root hairs out there, and when we do plant tissue analysis, we are seeing more nutrient uptake. So it makes sense. You know, just to say, well, we're seeing this much yield gain, and we have seen good yield gain on spring wheat and even better yield gains on winter wheat by using Quick Roots. That's fine. Yield gain's one thing, but why is it happening? Well, we're seeing more roots, we're exploring more of the volume of soil that's around that root mass, we're getting more nutrients into the plant early, and that's really critical in a crop like wheat.
So whether you use Quick Roots or anything else, again, we just want you to start experimenting with those biologicals. It's something that we're sold on because we've been using them for many years. But there are a lot of different products out there, a lot of different choices. There are also a lot of choices when it comes to that fungicide thing. I mean, it seems like almost every company now has a different fungicide, and they've got 2 or 3 fungicides they want you to buy and want you to use on that wheat seed treatment. The most important thing whenever we're talking about these fungicides and fungicide packages, or just seed treatment packages, is it going to dry in that seed? Are you going to have decent plantability? So that's the first thing we're concerned about. Second, when we're talking about fungicide, we want efficacy. We want to have this stuff work. There are diseases out there, and granted, I realize a lot of winter wheat country isn't exactly the heart of the Corn Belt where they get 40 inches of rain a year. You're dealing in drier environments. You're dealing with fewer seed and seedling diseases, but still a lot of these fungicides are $2 to $4 an acre. They're very inexpensive. What generally happens is this: you won't have real big yield gains 3 out of 4 years, but there will be 1 year where you gain 4 or 5 bushels, and that's enough to pay for that seed treatment for all of those years. So all those years where you gained nothing, you gained a bushel, bushel and a half, you say, well, no big deal, no big deal. I get that, but you got to look at that average over the long term and realize that, you know, when you put that seed in the ground, you really don't know what the environment's going to be 2 to 4 weeks later. So you're just taking a big chance if you don't have a seed treatment on the wheat.
Let's just say you have a low level of disease infection in your wheat. Well, it just sets your wheat back all throughout the whole year. You don't want to have that. If you're just using a combination of a couple different modes of action for disease management, you're going to see a nice gain over a period of years.
All right, then the insecticide piece. This is the one Darren and I will probably debate on a little bit, because in not all areas do we have big bug problems. But if you've ever had some wireworm issues, you've had some other bugs out there, you got to be at least thinking about this market segment. This also doesn't cost a lot of money to add this to your seed treatment, and the chemical family we're talking about here is the neonicotinoids. So it's Gaucho, Poncho, Cruiser, or the lookalike products to those. They're all in the same chemical family. They're relatively safe to humans. It's the same chemical family actually as nicotine, and I realize nicotine's not the best for you to smoke for 30 years. But you know what, to deal with it for just a few days as a seed treatment, it's relatively safe. In areas where they've had lots of wireworm issues, the low rate of the Poncho Gaucho Cruiser just hasn't been cutting it. Yes, it'll suppress them. Yes, it'll kill some of those wireworms, but it's not getting them all. If you bump that rate, you can get a little better control. For many years on our farm, we were raising spring wheat, and a few years ago, Darren and I said, we were talking to our dad, and we said, you know, we're going to switch over and plant some winter wheat because I think we can gain an extra 10, 20, maybe even 30 bushels. And he said, oh, I've tried that, and you're going to have all kinds of winter kill and everything. And you know what? We really haven't had that. And part of it is you got to get that seed off to a good start. If you have a good package there that can protect you from diseases and insects, you've got a lot better chance to have a good stand, to have a healthy crop going into the winter, so you do have better survivability.
Well, these seed treatments for winter wheat can protect you against a lot of things, but they won't stop our Weed of the Week. Can you identify this week's weed?